Hello, and welcome to the Hillbilly Tech Show. Today I'm going to be going over replacing a bad inverter on a laptop LCD. The inverter, which many of you may not know, it controls the backlight on your LCD screen. It actually makes the screen look bright in all the corners and all around it. It actually lets you see the screen because LCDs do not emit any light, and it needs a backlight to actually light the screen for you. When these go out, you'll notice a couple of symptoms. One is it kind of looks like your screen is black, but you can still see some icons on it. Now that's the main symptom that you'll see. Another one is if it starts flickering and then it goes black and on and off like that. It means the inverter could be going bad, but it could also mean the bulb is going bad. Both could show these symptoms. Uh, One simple way to do it is if you have another LCD screen, you can try the inverter on to see if it works. That's a quick way. You need some kind of equipment to test it. If you want to test it in real time, you'll need a multimeter like this that can measure RF frequency, and you need to have one that'll measure between 20 and 50 kilohertz. Or you can have an oscilloscope that'll do the same thing. If you have probes on the oscilloscope and an RF range on it that'll measure the actual waveform of it, you can test it that way. The very first thing you want to do, make sure there's no voltage going to your laptop, because you don't want to short this thing out, because the voltage on the high voltage inverters can carry 5 to 700 volts. You really don't want to get hit by this, so be very cautious when you're taking these apart. The very first thing I want to do is take the bezel off on the front. That actually will allow you to pop the screen out. Usually there's some on the sides. You might have little rubber stoppers you might want to pry those out. There's usually a screw behind them up here on the top. And you might have some around the bezel as well. I've already done this on this laptop. The next thing I want to do to protect the screen, this is a microfiber cloth. You can buy them at any computer store. They're screen safe. They're made to actually protect your screen. I'll lay it down on the keyboard. This will help when I put the keyboard or put the LCD down on top of the keyboard. And I'll actually take it apart like that. That way you have no scratches. The keys aren't digging into the screen and scratching it all up. It's a little bit of protection. Now, the inverter usually is located on the bottom. Each laptop is different. Usually the inverters are pretty much the same size and same width, so identify them is pretty easy. This particular one is on the bottom. Now some of these are glued in and some of them are taped in. This particular one has been glued in, so you might have to get just a dab of super glue, and when you replace it, pop the super glue on the bottom and glue it back in place. Okay. Now this particular one I've already taken apart, so to make it a little easier on us. Zoom in here to show you exactly what it looks like. Just a thin little piece. This is a paper coating, and there's a little circuit board in here that has a step-up transformer that steps up the DC voltage coming in to 5 to 700 volts. You'll have one connection here. This is coming from your video card. Now, another thing before you even attempt to replace this, test the video card. Hook an external monitor up to it if you're capable. Some laptops don't have this capability, but the ones that do, hook an external monitor up, see if it works. Now if it works, that means your video card is functioning properly, because the high voltage inverter actually goes after the video card, so if this is bad, it's not going to affect your video card whatsoever. But your video card can show the same symptoms as a bad inverter. So you might want to test that first, because it might be something as simple as a video card. Some of them you can pop in and pop out, just like this inverter. Now, if we've got a bad inverter and we're pretty sure about it, like I said, if you have another screen, you can test it, or the particular meters. Now, here's one way to test it. This is going to the LCD backlight on the monitor. Now, there's two connections. This one's going to the video card. This one's going to your LCD backlight. Now, if you had a multimeter, like I do here, what we use, there's two leads right in here that, on the very end of it. Now, you'd have to have this in waveform to test it. You want to put it in between 20 and 50 kilohertz if possible on your wave meter, and you just test the two leads while it's on. Now, if you're getting the right RF frequency to it, usually it's good. Like I said, usually laptops will range anywhere from 20 to 50 kilohertz. Every laptop will have a different range, so don't be worried if yours is reading 25 and another one's reading 40. So that's just the way they're designed. It's not recommended to test the voltage on it because it actually can cause some backfeed and fry the inverter. So the best thing to do is to test it with an oscilloscope or a meter that has RF range on it. But if you've got all that tested and you're pretty sure about replacing it, these things pop out pretty easily. Like I said, there's nothing in here but a circuit board and a little transformer. Never ever install these without this paper coating around it, because it's just an exposed board in here, and you do have metal on the bottom here that it can short out on very easily if you do not have this paper protector around it. Now you'll actually see a caution right here of high voltage, because it is high voltage. Just like I said, it's around 5 to 700 volts. It can actually shock you very badly if you are not careful with this. As I say, if you're going to test it, make sure you know exactly what you're doing. Don't plug power into it where you've got the high voltage inverter in your hand or anything like that, because it can do some damage. Now, if we're pretty sure this is going to replace it, the replacement's going to fix it. This end right here goes to video card again. It usually has 5 to 6 connectors, and they're slotted, so you cannot get this wrong. It's impossible to hook this up backwards, so you can be safe there. Now that end just pops in. You hear a little snap as soon as you pop it in. The other end's the same way. It usually has, this one has 2 cables. Some of them have 2 to 4 cables depending on the backlight. That just pops in as well. And you hear a little snap. Okay. Now both of those are in there correctly. What you'll want to do is take a little, like I said, you might have to take a little super glue or something and pop on the bottom of it right here. And what you want to do, try not to get your cables tangled up. Put a little super glue and just dab it and hold it right here for a couple seconds, and you should have an inverter that'll stick. Again, if this works, as soon as you power it on, your backlight should be back. If it doesn't work, then you probably lean more toward the bulb and the LCD. Again, there's a couple ways to test it before that, so I would recommend doing it on an external monitor, testing the inverter on another monitor, or testing the waveform on a multimeter or a oscilloscope. If you have any questions on this, email me at hillbillytechshow@gmail.com, or if you want to check out my blog, go to hillbillytechshow@blogspot.com. Thank you.